Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audiovisual channel. I'm Gabriela Handal, a draftsman and the host of the show A Conversation About Art. During each episode, I look for the meaning of art and beauty through conversations with colleagues in different artistic fields. Today, I bring you episode 41, and I will have this conversation with artist Maya Brodsky. If you'd like to support this podcast, liking and sharing this video is a great way to do it, and so is subscribing. These forms of support are immediate and have no additional cost. If you want to support the podcast with money, that is also welcome, and you can do this by purchasing my drawings directly from my website, buying stuff I make from eBay, buying prints of my drawings, or leaving a tip. The links for these things are in the show notes. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and enjoy the episode. Hi, Maya Brodsky, welcome to my podcast, A Conversation About Art. You are episode 41. Please tell our listeners and viewers who you are and what you do.
Oh, I am, I haven't defined myself as a painter in a while. I'm a painter.
Okay.
And human, and I paint and do human stuff. What do I do career, in terms of, sorry, this is going to be so bad. I like to paint. I've got some kids, so I do a lot of that. They're little, so they take up a lot of time, but whatever time I have, I spend painting.
Okay. So when would you say that you stopped referring, did you actively stop referring to yourself as an artist or painter recently, or what would you say?
No, I think if anyone asks, I for some reason I don't say artist because I worry that sounds pretentious, but I am a painter. If I don't do it, I start to feel real bad. So if I don't paint, so I'm that must be what I am.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. It's just that, artist definitely has some kind of, the term artist definitely has some kind of baggage or something with it, because in my case, and I'm not the only one that has mentioned this in previous conversations, I definitely did not, even though I was in the middle of studying and my undergrad, and I liked drawing very much and everything. I was not comfortable with referring to myself as an artist until I was well into the undergrad studies, and then after I was like, all right, maybe I guess I should start to own it a little bit,
Yeah, owning it would probably be good. I think I'm always worried that I'll come off sounding pretentious, but that's probably not something women should worry about that much. My ego's already pretty low. So.
Oh no. Well, it's just that whether the person thinks it sounds pretentious, or it's just I have to live up to something. It's it definitely it seems to have different kind of baggage carrying for different people, the term artist.
I think for me too, it's I have I think lately I've defined myself as a recluse or a hermit. It's been more of an accurate definition of what I am, but just because I really don't, or for a while now, for various reasons, just haven't been engaging as much as I'd like in the art world, and not because I don't want to, it just happened, so it's there's maybe there's expectations when you're I'm an artist, oh, what do you do? I paint alone by myself in my studio and I don't show the work to anyone. So I guess I'm still an artist.
Yeah.
But,
well, I don't know. I don't blame you. You said you've been a recluse for a while, so I figure it was before the pandemic also, would you say?
I think, the pandemic definitely exacerbated it. Before there was I think so first so I went to the academy like you, and then like maybe a year or two after graduating, we moved to Boston to like follow my husband's career, but it's also where I'm from, so it made a lot of sense. And then we had kids, and then like the gallery I was showing with clothes the year my daughter was born, so that was like a pretty smooth like off ramp, I guess. And then like my second daughter was born, and then the pandemic happened, and so it's just like a pretty like, I feel like if I like lately I've realized like if I don't start to like emerge soon, I just will never emerge. Like I'll just be alone in my studio. I'll never stop painting. Like I love painting, but it's like hard to push yourself out there, or at least for me, it's like hard to re-engage. I don't know, but that's what this is in part. I was like, thank you. So thank you for reaching out. I feel like it's nice to talk to other artists.
It really is. I started the podcast as like a way to try to start to understand what art is and what beauty, what those two things are for myself, and then it's become like this list, like this other way of socializing and just talking with people, because talking indeed is it's a good exercise, and it's good for your brain. It's good for just being a person in general. It's like it can be very enriching and sad and just gratifying in general.
Well, it's like connecting, which is like all that, like that's what all the arts and everything is all about. It's just like some kind of connection and like understanding one another. And I think it's a really cool idea. I think it's awesome what you're doing. So.
Well, thank you very much. That's quite a compliment coming from you, because like even if you don't feel like it, I definitely perceive you as like an accomplished artist. I don't know. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay, cool. So you're quite welcome. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your relationship with painting? So when did you start painting? Under what circumstances?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was like always like one of those like shy, quiet kids that just liked drawing at school, that kind of thing. But I think I have like a very clear memory when I started painting, and it was my mom made me do piano, but she was my teacher, so she was very like not strict. And so and after the recital, she would give us like a present, like after each piano recital. And I love music too, but I was really I was just like lazy, and I got away with a lot of stuff because it was my mom. And anyways, but so after like my big piano recital, she gave me like whatever gift I wanted, and I chose an oil painting kit. Like that's what I really wanted. And I just like I like loved the way it like smelled. I think like a lot of artists know what I'm talking about, but I love the way it smelled, and I love the way it felt. And I had no like I didn't take any classes or anything. There was like never any formal training until college probably, but I would just like stay up really late in my room. Like this is like in 5th grade or something. Just like at like 3 a.m. like painting with like blasting classical music or something like that. And just like I think that like there's like an identity. I think I like the like tortured artist identity, but it just felt really good. Like sometimes like the material just felt really good to use, and those paintings were all crap, but they just like I didn't know what to do, but I knew I wanted to do it. I knew that like I could get into like that flow state that everyone talks about or whatever, and just like lose track of time, like that happened with painting. And so I guess that was when I started doing it.
Okay, so then after that recital, you specifically asked for an oil painting set, or was it another medium?
Oh, it was oil. I was just like real artist, like serious artist, paint like oil, and like obviously I hadn't painted at all with anything, but I was like, it has to. But like I I think there's something about maybe just like taking yourself seriously, or maybe it's just like the way they felt, like the consistency, or like the smell of turpentine. I don't know, but I was just like really into it.
Okay, so up until that point, but you said did you say you had drawn before?
I mean, I think I liked drawing and paint. I mean, I liked like I was always like doodling and doing that. Like art class was like my favorite class in school, that kind of thing. But it was like, I probably didn't take myself, or didn't, have like view myself as an artist or whatever until the lofty age of 11.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask you questions too, or is this just me?
No, you can ask whatever you want, sure.
Yeah. What about you? Did you, or is this not okay? Do you remember when you saw when you started? You mostly draw though, right?
Yes.
Do you love painting as well, or is it mostly?
I can't say I love painting. No. And it's funny. And it's funny. Yeah, and it's kind of funny because like for a little while I was like deliberately kind of poking fun at. Specifically oil painters, because I was like, "Oh, you painters,"
Yeah,
but I mean,
those are artists with a capital A. Yes.
Yeah. But it's like the, but it's also, I mean, it's probably misdirected because it isn't poking fun necessarily at the painters themselves, but rather like the perception of. Maybe some painters, but really mostly like the quote-unquote lay people, or just like the art world, that painting is somehow superior to it, or superior, or like if there's a hierarchy, painting is at the top of the hierarchy, sort of.
Yeah,
but
and oil painting.
And oil painting specifically.
Big. Yes.
And big, yeah. But at the same time, it's like it's there for a reason, in the sense that after I did some research, because it seems that really very recently only we started developing the capability of fixing drawing. So it's really more like a practical sort of thing, in the sense that obviously if you cannot fix a drawing,
right,
a painting obviously is going to have like the capacity of living longer, in quotes, because it's like, we have found drawings and everything, but it's like, oh my God, you can barely breathe on them because of that, because it's a vulnerability that drawing has. So like the idea of that vulnerability has persisted, even though we have gotten and I mean humanity, we have gotten very good at, we've gotten very good recently at fixing drawing. So it's like, then the fact that drawing can be fixed and persist as long, or about as long as a painting, is only just starting to like settle and be there. So then it's going to be a while probably until drawing can be perceived as being on par with an oil painting, because it's like it's like nobody told me that necessarily. I learned that information via researching, because what was I doing? I mean, I was looking for when fixing drawing started, which by the way was around wherever Albrecht Dürer was.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So like, what is that, 1600s? I don't know.
around
right?
Maybe around the end of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Some semblance of fixing a drawing was starting to just begin to form. So yeah, I mean, it might be, it's fine because it's like, like much longer before painting had this quality of like, the fabric
can remain,
and it's like the paint itself, it's like, we're not allowed to touch paintings in a museum, but you could and nothing would happen to it.
Right.
Whereas an unfixed drawing, you're gonna ruin that shit, if you smear it.
That's so interesting. I like never, it's funny because if you ask me now, I would never be like, oh, painting is more serious art form than like other mediums. But you're right. Like I must have somehow, that must be like pervasive in the culture. If as like an 11-year-old I was like, I want to do oil paint. Like that's what's serious, so I feel like you're right. It consciously
I'm like, they're all good. It's like any means you have of expressing yourself. They're all temporary anyways. Like nothing is going to last.
Yeah.
Like we're all going to explode or whatever with the sun.
Just a matter of time.
The universe will collapse and whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's all just like here for a minute. But it's true that it's like here long enough to shape how like society perceives it and how like, and what we become and what we like love to do. Yeah. That's interesting. I'd never thought about the history of that. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. Not just how it's like the first things that they tried, but also then how it developed. Because if you're also curious, because I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yes, please.
the way that the first ways that they tried to fix drawing apparently was like you take the paper and then you dip it in like some kind of glue. I don't remember
glue.
Yeah, I don't remember if
rabbit
it was
skin glue or something.
Yeah, it might have been that very thing. I don't remember exactly, but that was like one of the first, if not the first method of attempting to fix drawing. And then I was like, but then what about spraying? And then spray cans is a whole other shit.
The idea of even a spray can is miraculous.
Yeah, that's like a whole other thing. Yeah, because you have to pressurize the contents in it, and the content, all that like spray mist. I don't quite remember because I didn't go that much into it. But
yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. That's cool.
It's pretty interesting. I can send you. I can send you the. I don't remember where. If I find the link where I read that stuff, I will send it to you.
Please, that would be really cool. I would love that. Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, that would be really interesting. I mean, I also wonder if we're all like, I feel like we're all also using these mediums, like, and like sometimes I wonder if like the future is all just like, I don't know, digital video game art, like something totally different. I feel like everything's changing very rapidly, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just like to sit and paint. Like I don't know why that persists, but yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I've definitely asked questions in previous episodes about or mused rather.
Yeah.
About what will the relationship be of all of the mediums once the digital art kind of comes to its own,
right?
Because when photography first was invented or you started to be used or whatever, everyone was like, oh my god, art, like traditional, like painting
what do you need painting for?
Is going to be obsolete and all of this stuff, and it's like it hasn't gone anywhere.
Right. Well, like certain things, maybe to some extent, like you no longer needed a portrait; you could just take a photograph of I mean, like it has changed also how we view images in general. But yeah. I mean, it has changed to a degree, but I mean, portrait painters still, people still get hired to make paintings and drawings of other people. And funnily enough, this just occurred to me, it continues to be, people who can afford it, quote unquote, because it's like, the presidents have still, because I mean, that has been typically the people who pay for portraits of themselves. The patrons are like still the same patrons,
basically, and that barely just occurred to me because it's like the Obama paintings, they were just unveiled, right? And it's like, it continues to be like quote unquote high society people. Which is kind of funny that has definitely continued to be kind of the tradition almost. I mean, they're not having digital paintings made, are they? They're having traditional oil paintings made still.
Which, it's really interesting. You're right. I wonder if like the aristocracy or high society or whatever. This is all stuff I know nothing about, by the way.
Same.
I'll also muse with you.
Yeah, sure.
But I wonder if like traditions persist longer there as opposed to like, because now, I mean, I'm really bad at all things digital, including social media, so I'm not really there, but I feel like that is like the main way that people view, or that most people view art now, is just like through Instagram or whatever. And I mean, maybe that's not the main way. I don't know. I'm like not in New York now, so I have no, and I'm like, don't leave my little rabbit hole. So, but I think that's how a lot of people see a lot of art, is like on a tiny little screen. And I don't know, I don't know how that's, I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
But
no,
I don't know
I mean,
how that's going to change how we view art. Like my art doesn't look good on a tiny screen. I don't think. Maybe it's because I don't know how to like photograph it properly or show it well. But I just feel like it's hard to convey what I'm trying to convey. But then I'm like, well, how else are people going to see it? I don't know. It is like a much more democratic way of looking at things as opposed to just having like a few people who can afford to and who are in the know see it, you know? Anyways, sorry.
yeah,
I feel
no,
like you
no.
were asking stuff, but I interrupted.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, that's definitely also an interesting, a curious thing to think about for sure, because it's like things are definitely changing in the sense that there's different technologies and technologies that already existed are developing into, or being upgraded or whatever. But at the same time, and this also just occurred to me because you brought it up, I do wonder whether, because you could argue that a mobile device is definitely in the hands of lots of people that previously would probably not have access to viewing work maybe or whatever, or
Right.
that previously would not have even been literate maybe,
Right. Right.
And I mean that the device itself definitely gives them the capacity to access art, to
Right.
look at it, but then the person would still have to look for it. And it might be that the same in the same vein as the people who are still hiring artists to make their portraits, like the same people who previously would not have even thought of art might continue to not think of art even in the present, and their interests continue to be like,
Right.
I don't know, cars. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking.
Getting a car, getting
a
a car for status or like clothes,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that would work.
I don't know either.
Yeah, because like, I guess in a way, an artist or somebody who quote unquote knows about art might be in their own, might have passed a threshold. And I say that because, a few years ago, somebody was like, they were describing a tattoo that they were thinking about getting, and I sketched it out. I was like a draw, because it's like natural for us, so I sketched it out, and then I showed it to it was not really particularly good or anything, and it wasn't serious necessarily. I was just like, I wanted to show the person or whatever, and they were like mind blown, because it's like there's a I feel like there's a threshold of knowledge or something, or just kind of having an idea of what art might be, that lots of people, and I cannot be a person that doesn't know what art is about, because I already know what kind of what it's about, and then there's lots of people who don't, and then it's like when you try to tell them what it is or just talk to them about it, it's like, I draw, and it's like, what is a draw, And it's like, I feel like just knowing, having any degree of familiarity with art is like, might be, since we're talking about classes of people, quote unquote, that a person who knows anything about art might be in their own class, or like in another class in a way. If, I don't even like to necessarily entertain the concept of class, but whatever, for the discussion, I will allow it for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, I want to talk more about you and your work. So you said that you started your relationship with painting when you got this oil painting set at around 11. Is that right? 11 years old? Okay, so then why have you continued to paint? It's like, what is it about painting that keeps you around painting, I guess?
That's a great question. Why did I continue? I think that it is probably that ability to like lose track of time while doing it, for me, that keeps me going, because there's not a lot of other activities like that for me that like that are creative, like I don't know. I think that I might have gotten lucky in a number of ways, in that I think I'm not
very good at some stuff, at a lot of stuff actually. Like I love history, for example, and I love philosophy. I studied philosophy in college, and but I have a terrible memory, like just god awful. Like I can't remember any name of anything. I can read something like and then read it again and forget that I've read it already. Like it's just really bad. It's not because I like take drugs. It's just like it's naturally really bad. And so like I couldn't really pursue those things. Like there's a lot of stuff that was like kind of closed because of that. So even stuff I was like interested in to some extent, I just couldn't really do. The other thing I always thought like maybe if I like couldn't paint anymore, if like I lost my hands or something like that, I think I would love writing. I've never really I didn't actually go down that path at all, but that's just like one of the other things that I feel like I maybe would be like as capable of losing myself or like losing track of time when doing it. But for painting, yeah, I think it was just like my own, and I sucked at other stuff and I loved painting, and so I just kind of kept doing it. And then I sort of like I think another thing, like I would proudly credit, so my sister is an artist too, and I would credit her to some extent with like making me pursue it, because I might have stopped like in college or something like that, just because I think I would have just like not been brave enough to pursue it. I would have just been like, well, I guess like in college you're supposed to become a lawyer, or, like whatever it is that you're supposed to do. But I think like Dina kind of did it first. She's a little older, and then my parents were like accepting of that, and they're also, I think they're also really cool parents, because they were just like, if it's what you love, like go for it. And so yeah, I think it was like a combination of stuff, because I think if my parents were like, this is impractical, you can't do it, I probably would have, like I think at that age, I don't know, I might have listened to them. Or if like I hadn't seen that it was like a possibility, I might have like kind of tried something else. I honestly don't know, but I have like, it's just always been something I loved, and somehow that path was unencumbered. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's really quite nice that all the other members of your family were encouraging in some capacity. And
yeah, I got lucky. Yeah,
that's quite nice, because definitely there's like the I guess also like the cultural load or baggage that being an artist comes with being an artist, because it's like, oh, so you're gonna be starving, promiscuous, drunk, you're gonna live in a ditch. And then you'll be like the like the romanticized idea that you were talking about of artists that just have terrible lives but they're amazing artists. Like that's another idea that I find really quite frustrating, that it has just like, it's like a weed, it just won't fucking die. It's like it won't die or fade out a little bit at least, because it's like there's plenty of artists that make a living either through selling their work or doing art related things. It's like, Dina is a good example, for example, that she teaches all the workshops, and I think before the pandemic, I think she said something about how she was just able to go propose a show to a gallery, and she would get the show, and she would have a show, and she would sell the work.
She's got like guts. She's good at that stuff. I feel like I think you're right. Like I mean, I think it's in part, like I think a lot of artists are making it work in spite of how it's viewed like societally, and the fact that it's like this, I mean, that it's like not considered by a lot of people to be I mean, it's funny, because like I went to college with like, I met like some of my greatest friends in college, but I feel like they didn't
end up like other artists like in the art department, and a lot of them didn't end up pursuing art because at some point you like graduate and you realize that you have to like make a living and support yourself somehow, so you have to find something practical to do. And yeah, I mean, I think it's and I think the fact that people like continue to do it in spite of the fact that it's like not a very, you know, that it's not an easy necessarily career path is really cool. I don't know. I got really, I have to like be upfront, and I got really lucky because my husband is like actually like very supportive and like understands, like, you know, thinks that art is actually like not just like a hobby or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people do view it as like either a hobby or like, yeah, you live in a ditch and you're a passionate, crazy person.
Yeah.
Or you're like, or you're just like have a rich family or something. I don't know what the other options are there, but
yeah. No, I feel like the rich family part wouldn't really be a problem if the artist person was actually serious about the work, you know, and wasn't making joke work.
Yeah,
like, oh, I picked this off of the street and I put it in a little box and I'm going to sell it for $5,000 in this bit. You know, it's like,
and my friends are going to buy it because they're wealthy. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, I mean, I think it's still really unfair because not everyone is lucky enough to be born into like wealth. I mean, not everyone, like almost no one is lucky enough to be born into wealth or, you know, anything like that. And yeah, I don't know. I think it would be cool if like, I don't know how money or politics works, but yeah, it would be cool if there's like a little bit more support, but whatever. I don't know. That stuff I know nothing about, so I can't talk about it.
All right. So then, Mrs. Brodsky, in that case, what is art in your opinion?
Oh, what is art? Oh, right. I remember that was one of the questions you promised to ask.
Yes.
Hang on. I wonder, I'm sweaty. Okay, I did think about this. I was like, I'm going to prepare and I'm going to figure out what art is. But the first answer is I don't know. And then the second answer is, because I do want to think about it or like try to engage with that, is that, so yeah, the truest answer, I have no idea. But also I think it's like the closest I could come maybe is that, and it's probably a lot of things, but is like it's probably some kind of embodiment of conscious thought. So it's like a physical manifestation of some kind of conscious thinking. Yeah, that would be probably my closest definition.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a lovely answer to the question of what is art. Okay. So, all right. So then let's talk about it because I have, you know, because I'd like to further.
I have other thoughts on it too, for sure.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but you ask a question, or like, yeah, if you have a question, go for it, or I can just like blah blah.
No. I mean, if you have more thoughts about what is art for you, please go. I mean, but besides the embodiment of conscious thinking or a conscious thought, please go right ahead.
I mean, I think that's like a general definition. I think also art is probably I don't know, or maybe visual art. No, I don't know. Painting or drawing, or like because there's also visual art that's like, is performance art visual art? I actually don't even know. It's somewhere in between. But there's I don't know. There's probably some kinds of art forms that are like not purely visual, but also like have to do with your other senses, like smell and touch and stuff like that. But I think one of the things that interests me about art has something to do with time, and I'm not entirely sure what, but I think that it has to do with the fact that it's like a still image that like remains the same, and then you as the viewer like connecting to it. I don't know. I think somehow time is like somehow related to art, and I don't quite know how, but that's like one of the things that like keeps on, it's like floating around in there in the ether. Yeah, because I often wonder, like, I've been really moved by like works of literature or music, like, you know, music I can like feel emotionally, like dance, like I can understand those. Like literature I feel like has moved me, like it's almost like I can live someone else's life and like really connect to their life through like a narrative. But then I'm just like, but what about like painting and drawing and sculpture? Like that's my experience of that is like something different, and there's something about a still image that it's like it's not invalid, it's just I don't know how it, like I can't quite explain how it affects me, yeah, other than that like maybe it remains the same while you kind of change around it, or your relationship with that thing can change. I don't know. I recently had a really cool experience with a painting. I don't know, because sometimes, I don't know if as an artist you do this too, but I'm always like questioning, like, why am I doing this? And like, you know, I don't know if this is like a common thing, probably, because I'm just like, it's more clear to me, maybe because I can't make those other things, like I can't write a book and I can't make a great piece of music or whatever, but like those things, like it's very clear in my relationship with them. And with painting, maybe because I can like take it apart, or with drawing, like maybe because I can like see how it was made, it's like I'm more critical of it, I think. And but recently I was like at the Hammer Museum in LA, and I stood before like a Van Gogh landscape, and I just like I don't, it's never happened to me before, but I just like went into it, and I was just like, it was crazy. It's never happened before, so I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And I think it was like the colors. I think he just got these colors like exactly right, and I was like, I've never been there, but I can connect to it in a way, like visually, but like in something past just like, oh, I know this, you know. It's like a connection with like when you and another human being understand each other. Like I felt that with the painting. That was cool.
And you said that's the first time that's happened to you with that specific Van Gogh painting?
With any art.
Wow, that sounds really awesome.
Like, yeah, like I love art, and I like,
sure,
it's like it exhilarates me and stuff like that. But that was the first time where I was just like, I don't know, just, yeah, I don't, like other art is exciting. I have this like it's funny, I'm looking past you at this, like I have a reproduction of a Gregory Gillespie self-portrait on my wall, and like that also, like there's like a bit of him in there like looking at me all the time, and that's also like another like real thing. But so yeah, like it affects me, but it's in a way that it's hard to put into words, I guess. Like it's not exactly emotional. It's not like a strong emotional feeling. It's not exactly like I'm like becoming friends with like a character in a book and like going through their experience. It's just like, it's something else, and I don't really know what it is. Do you have thoughts on that, or I don't know? Like, have you experienced that kind of
not the specific thing that you said with the Van Gogh painting. I haven't had that experience, but I mean it sounds like, at least for you, it's rare if it's only happened once so far, right?
Yeah.
I think when I saw the Starry Night the first time, and well, the only time, because it's in MoMA, and it's like I'm just I have issues with MoMA. But you know, but I remember the first time that I saw it, I teared up a little bit, for example. And I and I mean, I don't know, it's like something to
Yeah.
do with what I was saying about how I'm trying to understand, like, just now, like, this last, I don't know, since I started the podcast, basically.
Yeah.
So, which has been just under a year, it's not that long, that I'm trying to understand what both art and beauty are. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I have looked at art. I've looked at great stuff like Madame X and this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not like I haven't
Yeah.
seen cool things.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I have not. I don't feel like I mean, I feel like I was kind of an impatient viewer in the sense that I'd be like, all right, walk on. It doesn't matter what it was.
Same.
And I mean, not like I took a picture and stuff, because I think that is. I find that irritating. Somebody takes a picture and then just walks and didn't act. It was like they had this between. They had the device between them and the object of art that they're looking, and then they took the picture, but then didn't actually look at the work. And it's like, I understand. I mean, because I think I have taken pictures of art myself in the sense that I want to, I don't know, look at it more later. I don't know. I don't even know if that was the case.
Yeah. I think it's like automatically making it into a memory as opposed to having like a direct experience of it, presumably. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably what, you know, it's like then you have it on your, it's like, and it's funny, it's like you're trying to like capture it and keep it with you, but like you can't keep any, you know, like nothing. Every time you come back to a painting, you're different, and you know, like but
I guess what I was trying to get to is that I don't know what art is, like much
neither,
like you, except that you have this excellent thought of it being an embodiment of conscious thinking. And also I really enjoyed the things that the thing that you said about time, and I also want to talk a little bit more about that because I agree with you in the sense that because I also think that kind of calls back to what you were saying earlier about why you enjoy painting, which is the fact that you lose the sense of time while you're in the work, while you're making the work. And so, I mean, I think there's some kind of a connection there about what is art for you and why you enjoy making the work. And the other thing about time that you said, which is when a person as a viewer is looking at a piece of work and the work itself remains the same and the viewer changes throughout time. Because, I mean, at the same time, it's like, I mean, every single piece of matter, because, you know, the painting is matter and we are also matter, and, you know, they both change throughout time, except that we change faster than the object.
Yes.
You know, so, but there's still obviously both different types of matter have a different relationship with time, because one can arguably be the same for a little bit longer, maybe, even if the painting still changes throughout time. But the other thing that makes me think of is a thing that I heard from an artist named Martin Campos that I had in the podcast before. He referred to art as a time machine. And the reason is that, you know, basically having an object from hundreds or thousands of years ago that we get to look at now is kind of, you know, is like the object itself time traveled to our present in a way, or it's like a leftover object, and it's evidence in a way of another time. It's like solidified evidence of another time that continues to be, you know.
It's like a material bound by time and space. I really like what you said, that it just like stays the same a little longer than us. We change like a little more rapidly, or our minds and bodies do. But yeah, I think what's interesting about it is that you can, through some kind of intent, like conscious intent, put in to a painting, I think that I think you can connect to some, like the paint, like you make the painting, and then I think it can connect to a viewer somehow. Like I think that it can form like a real like relationship with a viewer, and when the artist is like no longer present, but like the artwork itself has something like of that intent and of that consciousness like within its material bounds or whatever. And then it's like depends on the person who's interacting with it, you know, like whether or not they can connect to it or not is like just like any meaningful relationship, you know, depends on like their state of mind or whatever. But I was recently like thinking about this idea. I listened to like an interview with a writer. Someone asked him like what the meaning of life was. All of the ideas I like to think about. And he said the meaning of life was its connection to other lives. And like the meaning of everything is probably its connection to everything else. So that's probably the same. Good. Yeah, I like that. He also said this other thing that I loved. He said that it just like really resonated with me that like his purpose kind of as a writer was to like increase the amount of consciousness in the world. And I really liked that. I liked that as like a kind of almost like a moral good or like as a purpose. I was just like, yeah, we should have more consciousness in the world. And then he said like another way of putting that was to like increase the amount of things that one can refer to or can call to mind. So like if you can like when you're thinking of something, you can call to mind like one of his stories, like you have an experience and you can relate that to one of his stories, like that makes your life richer. And I sometimes try to think of, I don't know, somehow that spoke to me, and I wonder if that same thing happens with art, with like really good art, is like you look at something and you no longer see it as just a tree or a puddle or whatever, or like you can call to mind the way this artist saw like light reflected on it, and then that makes you like care about it, and it makes you like bring a different kind of awareness to that moment that is richer than just like as though you were seeing it for the first time. It's like probably like the more amount of things that you can like kind of call to mind at once, the more meaningful, I guess. I don't know if I should use that word, but yeah, the more somehow the better like it seems, or like the more worthy or not worthy. I can't find the right word.
No,
but it's somehow a virtue. It feels like a virtue.
Yeah, but meaningful, I think, is a good way of putting it. You know, that reminds me a little bit of a previous conversation I had with Kurt Kauper, who teaches at the Academy. Maybe you had classes with him. I don't know.
No, but I like his work a lot. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, his work is cool. He said in reference to actually both art and beauty that both were, or at least, all right, so specifically applied to art. Art is something that changes how you see everyday stuff. So that's kind of what he said in reference to art, and I thought that was really cool, because effectively, you know, you could argue that it kind of brings more consciousness to the viewer in the sense that now, so for example, like you were talking about the tree, so it's like if an artist depicts a tree in their work and then a viewer sees the tree, you know, when the person goes back to look at trees, maybe the trees won't be taken for granted anymore. Now the person will be like, oh, it's like that beautiful, you know, it's like, yeah, trees are beautiful. It's like, you know, whereas before it's like, oh, I mean, a tree, I walked by it, I guess. But then it's like after being reminded by the artwork that trees are amazing, it's like when they go look at a tree again, they'll be like, wow, trees really are amazing, you know? Right. So then that little change of attitude there, that's a cool thing.
And I wonder if that's just like a state that you achieve while you're trying to create something or recreate or perceive it or translate it or whatever, like if an artist naturally kind of like goes into that state, or like I remember having an experience like in college. I think everyone's like every once in a while has this kind of semi-transcendent experience, but I remember like walking home late at night and just looking at the moonlight through like tree branches, and you know, every once in a while you're like, whoa, like that, you know, like normally you're like think, you know, it's just like you have to get from point A to point B, like everything is I think I remember reading like there's a part of your brain that's just like kind of filtering things out a lot because you're because like you can't always be taking everything in,
right?
Because you have to like put your put your attention to certain things, but like sorry, it sounded so bad. Let me try to be more eloquent. But like I think that there is definitely a mode of being where you're just trying to get things done, right?
Sure,
you're just like trying to get through the day. You have to go here, you have to like buy groceries, you have to do this or whatever. And then there's a mode of like bringing awareness to something where you look at it and you're just like, whoa, like this thing becomes so strange and so mysterious because you're just like the odds of all of this even being here and of how strange that like when we have fingers, like there's like a kind of like a wonder that you can bring to looking at things. And I think you can experience that without art maybe as well. Like I think that I've had like maybe in my life maybe like 5 experiences like this where you're just like stunned. You just feel like completely like stunned by the universe, but I think art and literature and music and all these things can, but in this case, like visual art can help you visually recognize kind of like those moments. Like we get so much from just like our eyes, like, but I think it can make you stop and be like, whoa, trees, because like an artist, because you saw someone look at it that way, and then you're like, they've seen it like this, and now I can see it like this, and like the wonder of that is it's pretty cool that we can do that.
It is indeed cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So then, Mrs. Brodsky, then what is beauty in your opinion?
I also don't know the answer to that one, but we'll take a stab at it. Okay, I think one thing is I think it's a combination of the familiar and unfamiliar. To some, I mean, that's like doesn't apply to beauty and like all beauty, but I think that's a component to finding something beautiful is something you do understand closely connected to something you don't quite understand, some kind of like mystery. I think I find beauty in that. I think something that you completely understand, maybe there's beauty there too, I don't know, but I think there is there's something about, at least within the context of artworks, I find that the most beautiful artworks at least have an element of like mystery or something that I can't quite rationally explain to them. And then I think and then if we wanted to get into beauty, like I think there's also like we as humans are probably through various evolutionary processes, I mean, you could get into this whole discussion, are probably primed to like see there's certain probably like beautiful elements in the universe that probably we're conditioned to see as beautiful, maybe because they're helpful to us, or maybe because there's just like repetition. Like I listened to someone talking about like how symmetry, for example, is something that we look for, like both in like visual symmetry as well as like maybe like ethical symmetry, like proportion, like justice is like somehow like a symmetrical, like there's symmetry within that, and that like we sort of look for, like we're primed to see symmetry as like something that's satisfying, I don't know, and maybe and like, and that's something that exists in the world, like symmetrical thing, like we have 2 hands, we have like facial symmetry. I heard someone define symmetry as change without change, which I really I thought that was like such a cool definition. And the example he gave was like, you can turn a circle and a lot of the points on the circle will change, but it remains the same. So it like changes, but it doesn't change. I don't know. So I think that there's stuff like that like we probably are just built to admire, because it's like how we're designed maybe, and it's like what we see around us. I don't know. What do you think beauty is?
I also don't know what beauty is. I wouldn't be able to give you like a phrase to start with or anything like that. I could ramble about what I think it might be.
That's what I did. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I liked what you started with, which is the combination of the familiar and unfamiliar. And I think that makes a lot of sense with the symmetry part, and specifically in the case of humans, for example, because we are symmetrical,
right,
for the most part,
sort of,
but we're not exactly symmetrical,
right?
And effectively, when people have taken, the half of the face and like flipped it to make a whole face, it's weird as shit. Okay, it's uncomfortable. It's weird, and it's like, oh, it's like immediately, even if the person looks good and stuff, even if it's not like, right. It's just like weird because the symmetry is not perfect symmetry either. So then that makes a lot of sense in the sense that, it's, the sides are familiar, but then they're slightly unfamiliar because of the small differences, maybe,
Right.
And also I have, it has come up in previous episodes about how there is this relationship of the things that we tend to like or find attractive and survival.
Right.
And I don't think we're necessarily designed to like this or that.
Right.
I think it's more that our taste for something has resulted because of those things bringing our survival just throughout all of, not just humanity, because like that's another thing, that's another issue that I recently had. It's like, where do you cut off the start of humanity? Because it's like, oh, you can, I guess, apes, but it's like, then mammals. It's like, where did we start? Where did we start? It's like we could have started at, you could argue easily that we started at dinosaur, but then it's like, oh, we started at a reptile, and it's like, I really like, because I personally find the strict cut off of things to be really rather pretentious and irritating, really, because it's like, it's also similarly, and you will know this because you're a painter, it's like, where does red start?
Right. It's just a spectrum of like how we,
Yeah, and I mean, not that all cut-offs are bad necessarily. I just feel like they're misused more often than not.
Well, it's almost like a necessary, like we need definitions and we need like...
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
In order to communicate, but at the same time, it's true that it's all part of, that none of it's real anyways. So. It's like, I mean, no, I completely agree with you. It's like, cut-offs are necessary. But then it's also, that is balanced with the fact that there's a whole, and there's overlap, and because it's like, in that case, the question about where does red start, it's like, red is there's tons of overlap with other colors, and it's like, but there's it's also
like
in
a
relation
fade out,
to other colors.
Yeah, exactly. It also relates to other colors.
And to how,
Yeah. So then, well, I mean, that kind of goes into the combination of familiar with familiar, because there's like an area in which you're positive it's red, but then when it starts to fade into something else, it's like when it starts to become purple, it's like, oh, it's still red, maybe not, unfamiliar, I don't know, so then that's pretty cool. But I was also among the many other things that I'm trying to understand, I recently came upon the word again. I came again upon the word of archetype, and I was like, I don't think I understand what an archetype is. And upon reading about it, it seems, so there's like this kind of dichotomy similar to this, in the sense that an archetype is a repeated behavior that, because it has worked so consistently, it becomes a model behavior. So then in that case, you know, you can argue whether it's like the model, did the model come first, or did the repeated behavior lead to the model, to the what is now the model behavior. So because archetype, like the word itself, arche, it's like archaeology, which is like origin.
Right.
And type is and type is the pattern repetition. So it's like both like both opposition, both ends of the thing are kind of within the same word, because you know, it's like arche, original, and type, the repetition. So then it's like I suppose the word itself insinuates that there was a model that is being followed, right? Because of it has the word origin within it. But it makes, so I guess I'm positing that it's like based on stuff that I've heard. It's not like my original idea or anything. Because a behavior has worked so well. Because a behavior has worked so well throughout time. Now we think of it as model behavior, but it had to like form and be experimented on and then cement itself via its persistence, you know? And so like now it's model behavior, but then if you went back to like, I don't know, cave people times, then we were still like, oh, what behavior, you know, there have to be different behaviors to see which one is going to last the longest until now times, you know, something like that.
So in terms of beauty, that's, you're like, I mean, so it's like a human construct, right? Like it's like, you're like, we're saying that it's something that humans are like through whatever like processes or whatever, like we, you know, like it's true, like we sort of can see geometrical kind of like we're primed to see certain beauty within that, within geometry, for instance, that we see around us. But it's all just like how human, like just how, I mean, I don't know how animals see art, but yeah, or see beauty. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if it almost doesn't matter how we got here. I don't know. Or do you think it, maybe you disagree, like, you know, it's like how we, however, you know, we got here, like right now and like, you know, standards of beauty and stuff change, and what we think of as beautiful changes from society to society and from time to time and stuff like that. But then there are certain patterns of what we consistently kind of admire. And maybe that's like the archetypes that you're describing, right? Like, is that like for instance, symmetry or whatever. But yeah, maybe it's just, I mean, I feel like for beauty, it's something where it feels, there's also like what, you know, what's sometimes I like to listen to physicists talk about stuff, and like, or mathematicians, like they like to talk about beauty in an equation and stuff like that. And they talk about something that is the most simple thing that describes the most amount of things. That's kind of different, I think, from how we view artistic, like beauty within art, I think. But it's the same word. So I wonder, I wonder if there's just like a satisfaction in learning something new through like something that you already understand. Like I wonder if that's kind of the thing that ties it together. I don't know. I'm rambling.
I mean, I don't know. I think that goes right back to the combination of the familiar and the unfamiliar that you started with. So I don't think that's a ramble at all. If anything, it's like a circle closing.
Very good.
so I think that's perfect. And well, Mrs. Brodsky, we've actually made it to the hour of conversation, which is really quite great because it didn't feel like an hour. It felt nice.
That felt really nice. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I think we're gonna start closing it off here. Maya, so please tell our viewers and listeners what you're up to lately and where your work can be found. Is there anything you're working on? Do you have any upcoming projects? Anything you're excited about? In particular?
I've been working for the past 4 years or so on like the same 2 or 3 paintings.
Okay.
They're big for me. Usually my paintings are really small. These ones are like as bigger.
Yeah.
And they're all, I'm looking at them right now. They're like the same view of the room, just at different times from my point of view, from when my daughter was born. Like not right as I'm having her, but like the next few days. So that was going to be the project, was like the same view just for about 5 days, like the first 5 days of her life, as it kind of changed. I wanted, and I'm still working on that, so it's taken a while, but that's so far, still in progress.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that sounds like an awesome project.
I like it. It feels, I can sink my teeth into it. It's been a lot of reworkings, but yeah, it's been good.
All right, well, that sounds awesome. It reminds me a little bit of didn't one of the Impressionists do a painting of a church or something at different times of the day?
Monet, maybe?
Yes.
Am I thinking of like the cathedral or whatever?
I just think I think that's cool because it's like, and it also kind of again calls back a little bit to what you were talking about, time, and how with art you're able to lose your sense of time, and it's like with that work it seems like you're kind of like, I don't know, studying that handful of days or something. It's really cool.
I feel like it's one of the things, I mean, it was like, I felt like it was like a very meaningful week or whatever, and I was just taking pictures nonstop, which is probably like really taking me out of the moment, but through those I kind of collaged together just like the view, I guess, and I don't know, I was just trying to, I was really like questioning myself on like, what is it that I really would want to look at for a really long time. And I know those moments were like had a lot of depth, but they also passed by really quickly, you know. So I've just been studying them for many years now, and I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Is it the first few days after your first kid?
After the second one, after Ida was born.
Okay.
So it's like the same. It's just like me from the bed, just looking out. I mean, you don't see me; you just see
like your view.
Yeah, you see. Yeah, so you like it's from my view. I kind of was like thinking. I was like, this is super lame, but I was like, on my deathbed, what would I want to look at? And I thought it would be that. So we'll see.
Okay.
I don't know if that's very grim.
No, I don't think it's necessarily grim. Because actually I was just thinking, because of what you were saying, because it seems like you were trying to freeze those days a little bit or something, or just have a closer look at them or something. But time itself in a way it keeps going by anyway. It doesn't stop. It just reminded me of, you know, having lost a loved one, and a few many years back, and just it's not that dissimilar, because you had a life and then this other life was lost, and at the same time it's like really the clashing between the familiar and the unfamiliar, because it's like now there's like this unfamiliarity in the sense of like you have like a whole ass other life there that now has to be incorporated into your life, and in the other case this life is gone, and it's like both are bringing really big aspects of unfamiliar into your own familiar life, and it's like time does not stop for either one, whether as you're I felt when this person passed away, I felt like stuck a little bit because they weren't there anymore, and it's like I didn't feel stuck. It's
no, but time
it's just
going.
Like confusing,
it makes no sense. I feel like I'm just like it makes none of it
'Cause-
makes any sense.
Yeah, because I
But
want it to
it's-
be. Yeah, I want it to be a little bit like, just wait a minute, damn it.
Yeah,
But
just
it's
wait a
like,
minute. Can you stop?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's, for me, it kind of feels like a little bit of like a futile effort to like freeze a moment, even though I know you can't.
Yeah.
But so like you freeze like one tiny instance of it, sort of a representation of it, of you thinking, like it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a futile effort, but you do it anyway. So
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's like one of the things that we do, that's one of the things we do. Sometimes we just want to study something more for whatever reason, whether it's appreciating it or trying to understand it, whatever it is, it's like.
Yeah, I just like wanted to live in that moment, because I didn't understand it, and because it was mysterious, and I don't want to take the mystery out of it. I don't want to like deconstruct it and understand it. It was more just like I just wanted to stay there, I guess.
Yeah. So just savoring it.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Lovely. And even lovelier closure. Okay, so
Aww.
Thank you, Maya, for joining me. Thank you very much
you.
for your time and for your words and your thoughts.
Thank you for yours.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you everyone for joining us. Feel free to let Maya and I know what you think of this conversation in the comments section. I also invite you to subscribe to my audiovisual channel because more of these conversations are coming. I also invite you to like this video and share it with any and all pertinent individuals. If you want to support Maya, myself, this podcast, or all three, the links will be in the show notes. So thank you everyone and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.